Hello, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to another one of my podcasts from Michele Marck Knitwear. So, all I want to say to everybody first of all is have a very happy 2021. Let's hope it's a good year for all of us. But I think we've got a few hurdles and challenges to deal with before the year gets underway and we can all feel really positive about what's ahead. Anyway, I just want to update you on a few things. As you can see, you're probably thinking, oh, what is she wearing today? Because obviously it's not a 1940s or a 1950s style knitwear, but it was just a little challenge that I set for myself at the beginning of winter that I thought, I'd like to knit a nice ferrule. So anyway, if you remember a few other podcasts, I did decide to knit this sweater that this Jaeger pattern portrays. It was like a T-style sweater, so it had no armhole shaping. First time I'd knitted, because I don't knit modern knitwear very often, so for me a modern pattern is quite a challenge. So anyway, I started off. I knitted the body. I wanted it more fitted, but it didn't kind of work that way. So as you can see, I did actually finish the sleeves off over Christmas, but it's just like so massive. I'm not really happy with it, to be honest. I've worn it yesterday and today, and I couldn't sleep properly last night because I kept thinking, I've got to do something with this pattern. So I might be very brave and remove the arms because it's just far too baggy. What I might do is, so remove the sleeves, undo all the seams, and then start to unravel it probably to about the bottom because it's really baggy and it gets baggier as it gets up the top. And also the sleeves are a little bit on the long side for me. I mean, it's really nice. I mean, it took ages to do. As you can imagine, I'm wearing my nice, lovely 80s necklace and a few 50s. I'm a bit clashy with the decades today, like with my sort of beret too. But hey-ho, anything goes in these days, doesn't it? So anyway, I was sort of a teenager and in my early 20s in the 1980s anyway, so this is kind of a little throwback to that era when I was out and about and sort of into the rockabilly scene and everything. So again, I'm really pleased with this sweater apart from the sleeves, but you could say if you look at the actual design, my sleeves have come out very much close to the actual design, which I didn't want. So, yeah, that's my own fault. But, yeah, look, I've got quite a bit here. And the thing is, because I haven't got much wool left to knit a hat to match, I thought, well, another reason for undoing the sleeves to a certain point, which gives me back a bit of wool. So, anyway, that's going to be a bit of a challenge for me. But I thought I would share that first off just to let you know what I'm going to do. So you never know, we might end up with something that's a bit slimmer on the sleeves, which is probably more wearable, because otherwise every time I wear this, I'm going to have to wear a coat over the top because I'm not comfortable wearing it like this. So anyway, that's that one, that's that. So it hasn't finished that challenge yet. As you can see on the dummy, this is a really cute little cardigan that I knitted a while ago. It's got beautiful cable on the cuff and on the rib and on the collar. Now, it took me ages to knit this, and I actually have got another one that I knitted first off in like a nice blue, like a nice icy blue. This has got lovely little pink vintage buttons, and I've sort of faced it with some nice ribbon because it gives you a nice substance of a ribbon band. So yes, altogether quite pleased with this. So this is from the 1950s pattern. I think it's 1950s, it looks 50s, or it could even be late 40s, but yes, it's a really nice lavender pattern. Now the good thing about that pattern was it actually had the wool in this brand, so I thought, well, this was just destined to be knitted with this wool I had. So I had quite a lot. I think I bought it on eBay a number of years ago. It's beautiful. It was like 1 ounce balls. I mean, I love vintage wool, and I just love the labelling and everything. It's got so much history. It's just gorgeous. And I've got a thing about collecting labels. So once I've finished a project and I've got loads of labels, apart from reminding myself how many yarns I use and how much grams or ounces I use for any project, I kind of can't let go of all the labels. So I'm kind of a bit of a label fiend. I've got tons of them that I just keep back, mainly because I just love collecting vintage labels for wool. But hey ho, maybe for another project in the future I could write a little essay about vintage brands and wool labels. Anyway, so to go with this, I had some yarn left over, so I thought, well, I do like to have either hats, like berets, or little hats, or turbans to go with my projects. So I've started this weekend to knit one of these little caps. Now this Best Way knitting pattern for a turban, you can find it free on the V&A Museum website, so you don't have to buy it. It's totally free. So I've just got a print out because I like to make notes, and yeah, so that's my just print out version of this. So it comes in 2 versions. It comes in plain stocking stitch or moss stitch. So I love moss stitch. So it takes ages though. I mean, for me, because there's lots of increasing and decreasing, I've actually spent like 3 days so far on this turban. So that's one side of it. So what you do is, I'm on the second side, I've only done a little bit, but what you do is you join the 2 pieces together, where the hat it is. So you seam it round where the hat bit is, you seam it, and then you have the 2 ends that you leave open, but you join them at the end, because that's the bit that you twist and pull over the cap bit. So you have this cap like this, and when it's joined together, the side and the top bit, you place it on your head, and then you've got the twisty bit, you twist around and pull it over, and you end up with a nice turban. So yeah, so I do like to knit hats and turbans with all my projects, but some of the projects I've knitted in the past didn't have a hat or a turban to match. And sometimes I knit things and I can't even remember if I actually knitted a hat to go with it, which I thought the other day on one of my knitting projects. I thought, oh, I must remember to knit a hat to go with that. And I looked in my box and I actually found it, and I thought, oh, I did knit one to go with that. So that's the thing, when you knit all the time, sometimes you forget what you've knitted and what you haven't. So that was that. So what have I been up to? So when I'm knitting, I actually like to relax and sometimes watch DVDs. I love all the vintage television programmes that are normally set in like 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. Recently, we managed to pull out from storage a Map and Lucia UK like 80s series that was based in a fictitious town, which was actually filmed in Rye in East Sussex in the UK, which is a beautiful village. So it was just like for the scenery and the beautiful clothes and everything. It was quite, it didn't have much substance as a series, but the characters were quite funny as I started to watch it. And as I was knitting my turban, it was just something interesting to watch for the weekend. And the weather hasn't been too great anyway, so all the more something nice to get into while, something fun and sort of just get your mind away from current events. So yeah, perfect time spent. Also, a while ago we bought this DVD called Crimes of Passion, which is a Swedish subtitled recommend, but we've only watched it, probably we're watching it for the second time, but because it was such a while ago we started watching it, we kind of forgot the plot to most of the episodes, but we watched 4 of them so far. So the series is by Maria Lang. She was the writer. It says here, the task of the mystery is to offer a few hours of legitimate escape from reality by engaging us in a problem. Its light, sometimes absurd, tone of comedy is more important to me than heavy and serious social relish. So it's quite interesting because the main characters are this woman and they get married, her and her sort of fiance, but it centres around all these murder plots in this Swedish village, and this guy, this really handsome chap, he's the inspector, and they're friends with him, but she's kind of got this real, there's a crush there. There's a definite link between him and this lady, this main character, whose name is Puck. Her name is. It's quite an unusual name, Puck. So the thing is, when you watch this, you've got to read the subtitles. So it's a bit of a challenge when you're knitting and you're watching something where you've got subtitles, but it's fascinating, and it's all set around the 50s, so it's got some really nice clothes and sets and fashion design and interior design, so it's quite fascinating. But I do recommend it if you like sort of murder mystery along the lines of Miss Marple. This is a very similar series that I recommend to watch. So yes, it's called Crimes of Passion, and you should be able to pick that up second hand or new, but on DVD. So yes, I recommend that. Crime novels by Maria Lang, if you haven't heard of her. So what else have I got? So for Christmas, I treated myself to the Fleece and Fibre source book. Now I've been watching some other programmes, and the woman, like one of the women, I think Deborah Robson, was on one of his other podcasts, so I listened and I thought, what an interesting book. It covers every kind of breed of sheep and all kinds of other, like llamas, goats, alpacas, and I thought, well, that would be really interesting, because it's not only for knitting that it's a good source book, it's also for other things like when you're buying carpets and rugs, and it's just, it's just the background. So a very good source book when you're sitting having morning coffee. So it's my birthday recently, this weekend, and my husband treated me to a new book, which is called Aran Knitting by Alice Starmore. So Alice Starmore, a lot of people love her designs, quite traditional. Obviously, if I ever knitted any of these designs, I would probably crop it to make it shorter, and I wouldn't wear it so baggy. But it's got some really good tips. It's got background on you know, the history behind the Arran sweater and the island of Arran. So yeah, it's got some beautiful things. So I look forward to reading that. So apart from that, I haven't got much else to share with you. I do intend to get into some very challenging projects this year, because I think that's, for me, that would be really good for my knitting skills, because I'm quite used to just knitting things that are less challenging. I think the fair roll for me is another, you know, I want to knit more fair roll, and especially I've got lots of spare pieces of wool hanging around, which I could use up for sort of fair roll projects. So that's what I intend to do. But anyway, with regards to this, it's a shame because it's a really nice jumper. It's so cosy, but the sleeves, I can't believe how big these sleeves are. So anyway, I'll let you know how I get on with this project. It's going to be interesting, and keep your fingers crossed for me, because I can't afford to go wrong, because otherwise I might end up with a sleeveless project, and I don't want that to happen. So yes, it is going to be challenging, but hey ho, if I get a nice sweater at the end of it, that like a real 80s feel to it, then it will be worth it. Anyway, so that's all from me. I hope you've enjoyed it. Say goodbye to my nice little cardigan, and next time I speak to you, I might be wearing it with the turban. So, as I said at the beginning of the podcast, have a very happy 2021, and may it be good for everybody. Have a healthy, wealthy and happy time, and I'll see you again. Take care. Bye.